State Circle is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you.
Well, when's it going to stop?
This bill takes away a lot of the gatekeeping and the hurdles that people have to go over.
Adding a lane to Maryland driver's licenses.
This whole idea that this is somehow going to lead to lawlessness in Maryland is really wrong.
If this bill passes, our local law enforcement can't coordinate anymore like that with Department of Homeland Security.
The immigration debate far from the border.
This puts it on its head, so anybody whose DNA partially matches this, they're guilty until they're proven innocent.
And whether to limit the use of your genetic fingerprint.
Connecting Marylanders to their government. This is State Circle.
Good evening. The big story around State Circle this week is a change to Maryland driver's licenses. The state Senate voting today in favor of adding an alternative category for people who don't identify as either male or female. Nancy Amata explains.
This is incredibly important to me because the X means a lot more than just a letter. You know, the M or the F just doesn't fit. And
Jazz Barnett of Baltimore testifies before the House Environmental Matters Committee that Barnett is neither a woman nor a man. Barnett is non-binary, a category of people who don't exclusively identify as male or female. Barnett and others hope their experiences will convince lawmakers to add a third option, a gender-neutral option on state driver's licenses and ID cards.
This bill is very important to us because we don't have currently the option for non-binary people in Maryland to have a gender marker that reflects our identity.
It's invalidating to not have the legal system recognize who we know ourselves to be.
Under a proposal by Senator Will Smith, in addition to an M for male or an F for female, applicants would be able to choose an X for unspecified.
It's a real segment of the population, and this is a small step forward that our government can take to recognize a population that I think has been marginalized and not recognized.
The measure prohibits the Motor Vehicle Administration from requiring an applicant to provide proof of gender.
That's the current policy, is that folks have to go to get two doctor's letters, a mental health professional as well as an MD. So this bill takes away a lot of the gatekeeping and the hurdles that people have to go over, and it really creates an equitable situation.
Should Maryland pass this bill, it will join 6 other states, including the District of Columbia, in allowing people to choose unspecified gender on their licenses. 5 airlines also allow that designation when booking a flight.
We want to accommodate. I understand that, and I want to be sympathetic. But these are ID cards, and the question is, where will it go next?
Well, when's it going to stop? You know, we keep going down this slope of different things. It's opening Pandora's box, I think, on, you know, how far we're going to go with issues like this to keep making sure that nobody gets their feelings hurt, nobody gets upset.
Senator J.B. Jennings contends a third option isn't needed.
Your sex is either male or female.
An opinion that is vigorously refuted by supporters of the bill.
Regardless of how you feel about trans people and about non-binary people, we're here. It doesn't open up anything. It just acknowledges what is both scientifically and medically understood and also socially just real.
I'm Nancy Amata for State Circle.
2 bills aimed at clarifying immigration policies throughout the state are causing a deep divide among different communities. State Circle's Yolanda Vasquez explains.
Maryland needs to be welcoming to all those that are here.
Delegate Vanessa Atterbury is working on a bill that would prohibit government agents, defined as employees from the state, county, or municipality, from inquiring about a person's immigration status.
For legal purposes, it's fine, but at a school or a government agent can't ask it in a court or in a hospital, and they can't ask their family members or acquaintances to try to pressure them into a certain situation.
It's one of 2 immigration bills being considered during this session. House Bill 913, sponsored by Delegate David Moon, is focused more on what happens at correctional facilities.
The aim of the bill is basically to set a state policy for when a police officer or law enforcement officer should or should not notify ICE that we have a resident they should pick up.
And there isn't protocol already in place for this?
Well, right now that's sort of left to the counties to decide, and so we have a real patchwork of differences.
If this bill passes, our local law enforcement can't coordinate anymore like that with Department of Homeland Security. They're no longer able to hold and detain someone who Department of Homeland Security believes could be dangerous.
This whole idea that this is somehow going to lead to lawlessness in Maryland is really wrong. If there's a resident with an issue, a public safety issue, ICE will present a warrant and have them put into removal proceedings.
The bills have caused a divide amongst immigrant communities, many of whom came out to testify this week.
I feel these two bills just outrageous.
Cheng Tu says the legislation endangers public safety and incentivizes more illegal immigration.
We came here, we follow all the rules. I pay so much legal fees in order to get a green card. And what does this bill do? Reward people came here illegal. So I just don't understand. This is not logical.
For Jorge Benitez Perez, the bills make perfect sense to him.
Our people come here for work. They come here with good motives, here to strengthen our economy, not to damage it.
His mother, who fled El Salvador in 2006, could be deported next month. She was asked about her immigration status during a routine traffic stop last summer.
My mother is not a criminal, no criminal record, so that's something that it's very hard for me. I didn't expect that to happen.
If this legislation sounds familiar to you, that's because it stems from a broader immigration bill that was introduced 2 years ago called the Trust Act, which failed to gain support in the Senate. Atterbury is hopeful the legislation will pass this year with a different judicial proceedings committee, reaffirming it will not make Maryland a sanctuary state.
If the federal government comes in and asks, then yes. But we are not going to make it a point in our state to seek out individuals and their status and have them detained.
In Annapolis, I'm Yolanda Vasquez for State Circle.
Should DNA that has been collected through increasingly popular genealogy websites be used by law enforcement to help solve crimes? The state already limits the use of the criminal DNA database to implicate relatives. Now Delegate Charles Sidnor wants to extend that protection to include popular genealogy tools like 23andMe and Ancestry DNA.
It's my understanding that what law enforcement will do if they have a DNA sample from a suspect, they'll upload that sample, you find a partial match, and then what they do is when they find that person, they're able to kind of track back, all right, who's this person's relatives? They build their little web using genealogy, and they then have their targets of who they want, who they're suspicious of.
Delegate Sidnor believes that is an overreach and possibly unconstitutional. Law enforcement agencies have voiced their opposition to his bill. 2 Republican legislators want to expand legal protections for pregnant women and their unborn children. Their bill would change the crime of manslaughter to include the killing of a pregnant woman's unborn child. It's called the Laura and Reed Law.
California and some other states have done. In our country and in Maryland, violence against pregnant women is I think much higher than people would like to believe. In fact, for a period of time, it's been the leading cause of death amongst pregnant women in Maryland, even outpacing car accidents.
38 states have fetal homicide laws, including Maryland, but this bill would protect earlier stages of pregnancy. Powerful forces are lining up on both sides of a bill to authorize Johns Hopkins University to have its own armed police officers. Charles Robinson has that story.
I think it's a no-brainer. I can't understand why we would not want to have this police force. Again, University of Maryland, Towson, Morgan, all these other campuses have their own police force. Why not Hopkins?
For me, it's the broader issue of the privatization of what is a public function. So in Maryland, thus far, policing, having the authority to be a police force, a police department, is just for local jurisdictions and public entities. And even the universities that have the authority that Hopkins is seeking in this legislation is only given to the state universities. None of the private universities have the ability to establish their own separate police department.
Should one of the state's largest employers have its own police force with arrest powers not just confined to the campus? The change in state law got a full hearing this week during a joint session.
It's not like Johns Hopkins University doesn't have a security force, but this new bill will allow them to have some unique policing powers.
The Hopkins police force would govern campuses at Homewood, the hospital, the Peabody Conservatory, and adjacent neighborhoods.
Hopkins, one of our largest employers in the state, one of the most world-renowned Hopkins universities internationally. They want their own police force to be able to protect their students and their faculty. Why not give it to them?
What would be down the line to keep Amazon, or Walmart, or Under Armour, or a downtown collaboration of businesses to establish and seek the same power that Hopkins is seeking?
Some 60 faculty members oppose the creation of the police department. One of the compromises being floated is to put the police force in the same category with public universities. According to Senator Jennings, the president of Hopkins has said parents are starting to ask about crime in and around the campus. In Baltimore, I'm Charles Robinson for State Circle.
Well, it was Election Day again this week as the General Assembly voted to select the state treasurer. Former legislator Nancy Kopp was easily reelected to a new 4-year term. She is the 23rd person to hold the job of treasurer and the second woman in the office.
It is impossible for me to stand in this great hall and not feel awe at the responsibility that you all have and that you have entrusted in me for the future and the well-being of the more than 6 million citizens, fellow citizens of Maryland.
The treasurer represents the legislature on the State Board of Public Works. And joining us for this week's Annapolis Face-Off, Delegate Andrew Casserly, a Republican from Harford and Cecil counties, and Delegate Brooke Learman, a Democrat from Baltimore City. Thanks to both of you for being with us. A lot of talk about toll roads, whether it's a new Bay Bridge or adding toll lanes to existing highways. Delegate Learman, you have a bill in that would affect that. What would it do?
Thank you. Great to be here, Jeff. So currently, for the past 40 years, there's been a law in effect that gives the 9 Eastern Shore counties the right to basically veto a toll bridge or a toll road or toll highway running through them. It actually says in order for the state to build a toll road or a toll bridge, a majority of the affected counties have to give their approval. All my bill does is say, you know what, if it's good enough for the Eastern Shore, then it's good enough for the rest of Maryland. So my bill just expands that right to the rest of the Maryland counties and says, if we are going to build a toll highway or a toll bridge through Maryland counties, then those counties and their locals and the people who live there, they should have some input and some say into that.
Now, I'm not aware of any toll facilities being planned in Baltimore City, so what's the intent?
Well, the intent is really just to make sure that we're building transportation projects in a thoughtful way. Transportation challenges are really plaguing our state right now, and we want to make sure that everybody's at the table discussing solutions and that everybody has buy-in on the solutions that we're planning. Because transportation plans and projects take years and years to unfold and come to fruition and cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so we want to make sure that we're doing it right, and this way, we can make sure that the state is working with the local governments and the affected individuals to make sure that we have those roadways are being planned well and thoughtfully. And even though it's not coming through Baltimore City, we're one Maryland, and it affects the whole state because we're a small state and we all drive.
Let's get Delegate Cassilly's perspective on this. How do you feel about counties having more input on the toll process?
Jeff, thanks so much for inviting me to be on your show today. And I first say that Delegate Learman and I are close allies, and we share a lot of the same beliefs. Unfortunately, not on this piece of legislation. This bill would effectively kill all future toll roads. And as you may be aware, one of the first sections of toll roads was from Baltimore City out to White Marsh. And when that was put in place, that area, that section of our highway was consistently at the top 30 of the most crowded and congested. And ever since that's opened up, it's completely fallen off that list. Not only that, is it's actually reduced operational times in that section by about 50% for the commuters that are going back and forth. Now, I'm incredibly excited that there's an expansion of that supposed to go from Baltimore City all the way out to Harford County, which would effectively connect Delegate Learman's and my districts together by a high-speed toll road. So I'm incredibly excited about that potential. Any of her constituents that might be working in Aberdeen Proving Ground would have a fast access and a way to get all the way out to Harford County, and vice versa. Any of my constituents that are working down in the city can use this high-speed bypass. But if this bill goes through, for all effective purposes, it's a poison pill that will shut down all toll roads across Maryland.
Delegate Learman, is that the intent? And how would you feel if the same legislation included giving counties veto power over rail projects, mass transit, maglev, whatever comes along?
Well, I think that toll facilities and toll bridges and toll highways are very, very different than mass transit projects. I think one of the things that we've seen in other states, like in Texas actually, is which is a state government that relied heavily on toll roads and tolls to build new roads. They're regretting that, and they're pulling back, and they're saying, no, we've relied too heavily on tolls. I love the example of Harford County. Those express toll lanes, while important, are also mimicking the exact route that MARC goes from Baltimore City to Aberdeen, as well as express buses. So I'd love to see more investment in some of those transit projects to get cars off the road, so those who really do need to drive can have the road without having to pay extra by paying for tolls.
How much of this is about what the governor wants to do with Capitol Beltway, Interstate 270, BW Parkway?
Well, I think that plan is, it has a lot to do with that, because the counties and many people in the counties are very concerned about losing their homes. They don't feel like there's been enough engagement with the governor and MDOT, with the locals. There haven't been enough community meetings. People are very worried about losing their property. I know there's, community centers right around where they would have to expand. So certainly that is part of this. And I think, we've seen that the pre-solicitation report that MDOT sent us, they haven't given us any details. So I think there's a lot of concern about that plan as well.
Last question, while I have a minute, and I hadn't thought that this could conceivably be called I-95's, Learman-Cassilly Expressway. But Delegate Cassilly, if you don't like the idea, what would you think of rolling it back for the Eastern Shore counties that have this veto power now?
Jeff, anytime we start limiting our state holistically to address transportation issues, I think we're entering dangerous waters. And quite oftentimes, one of the things we need to remember is we're not only transporting people, we're transporting goods and services. When I drive on these high-speed toll lanes, one of the things that I see traveling beside me is not a Lexus, but I see Bob the builder or Joe the plumber, who's working to get his crews to the job site as efficiently as possible, and realize that he can't have his people, his staff, sitting in traffic for long periods of time. And if we're going to move forward as one Maryland, we really need to be thinking regionally to make sure that we're addressing all the needs.
All right, delegates, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much. And we're back with the Political Roundtable after this.
I grew up in a small American farming town, didn't have a lot. I lived with 7 siblings in a single wide trailer. I just felt like, why couldn't life be better for me? I remember to this day, I turned on the TV and saw Les Mis on great performances. The music was so powerful. I believed that I can do that. It truly inspired me. Today I have a full-time career, but I also have a dream, to sing in a prestigious opera company. It takes work, time, dedication. Sharing my love for music with people gives me joy. PBS helped me think anything's possible. Now I really know what I want in life, and that's singing. PBS gave me the confidence to take a chance on myself.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
Are you turning 70 and a half this year? If so, you generally have to start spending down your retirement account. Even the minimum distribution can place you in a sticky situation. Luckily, you can now use your IRA to make tax-free gifts. Gifts up to $100,000 will never count as income, but always make a difference. That's icing on the cake.
Make your gift for this year before December 31st. Visit mpt.org/support.
Now for the political roundtable, Charles Robinson joined by Samantha Hogan of the Frederick News Post. Thanks to both of you for being with us. Governor Hogan, so I should point out, is no relation to Samantha Hogan, has been making all sorts of national news. Charles, have we seen any Hogan 2020 bumper stickers yet?
No, we have not, but why don't you tell the audience where Hogan is today?
He's down at the National Governors Association meeting in D.C., where he's the chair.
And one of the interesting things about that is this week, there has been a lot of conversation in national media about the governor. He has challenged the Republican National Committee to allow for potential challengers to the president. This is one of those scenarios where you kind of do damned if you do and damned if you don't. But we do know this. The governor is going to go to Iowa. And this week, he said he may end up in New Hampshire.
Right. So the trip to Iowa is a week from Monday, and it was a previously scheduled National Governors Association event. It'll be interesting to see how much time Mr. Hogan spends away from the convention hotel in Des Moines, and, whether there's some photo ops there. Same with a potential New Hampshire trip. It wouldn't seem like, as the governor has acknowledged, given President Trump's popularity within the Republican Party, that there's a path forward at this point.
No, it really isn't. But, it's like taking a stick to a hornet's nest. You never know what's going to come out of that.
I think some tweets may come out of that at some point. Samantha, let's talk about some of your reporting. Frederick County is a little bit of a fulcrum when you start drawing congressional districts. The 6th district in Maryland was ruled by a panel of judges to be too gerrymandered. Where does that stand?
Yeah, so the 6th congressional district obviously goes from western Maryland over into southern Frederick County and then down into Montgomery County. So there's an emergency commission that the governor formed that actually met on Wednesday, and they've essentially decided that they want to return Frederick County to the 6th and to pull in a portion of Carroll County and Montgomery County as well.
I know one of the things is that this is a very thorny issue. Why did they need to redraw these districts?
Well, as was said, this has been something that's been working its way through the courts for a long time and actually will return to the Supreme Court in March. There was concern last time that the map was drawn that it may have been gerrymandered and that it diluted Republican votes and flipped a longtime seat to a Democrat, which obviously now is Congressman David Trone.
And exactly a year ago, the Supreme Court did hear the case and ultimately decided to send it back down because the justices appeared to find that even if they tried to set a standard for how much political gerrymandering is okay, it would be extremely difficult to enforce. What do the powers that be in the Frederick area want to see happen?
It's a little difficult to say what they exactly want to see. I think most people just want to see clarity. We had problems even during this election where people were being sent to the wrong polling location, whether they were in congressional districts 6 or 8. They were able to fix it, but those kind of problems shouldn't be happening. So I think there may be some interest in returning historically to the 6th district, but we'll have to see.
Samantha, you've also been looking into beer legislation, which has been a big issue between the comptroller and the Democratic legislative leadership. What you're looking at is some maybe more focused bills.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking at really how many barrels of beer you're allowed to brew when you're a craft brewer. And they want to double it from 22,500 to 45,000 barrels. Frederick County has the highest number of craft beverage businesses, and this could be something that would give them long-term protection as they grow their businesses.
And as you know, Peter Francho has been all over this, suggesting that some of the large beer manufacturers that come into the state do not want to see these numbers grow.
Yeah, but the small ones do.
What else is coming up in the next couple of weeks as we get towards the second half of the session?
Well, we're 45 days away, and I think the biggest thing is the budget and how we're going to slice up the school money, and I don't think that's clear at this point.
Very good. Charles Robinson, Samantha Hogan. You can read her work in the Frederick News Post. And that is our program for this week. Tune in every week at this time as we bring the State House to your house. You can also connect with State Circle online. Streaming videos of our programs can be found at video.mpt.tv. Monday on Direct Connection, sudden heart issues in athletes. When should older athletes, even younger athletes, be tested? Join us for that Monday at 7. Thanks for watching State Circle, and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.
TV Worth Watching is supported by the members of MPT and by
Freedom Car, providing personal transportation services to households in and around Baltimore since 1991, with local customer service and professional uniformed drivers. Family owned and operated. Learn more at freedomcar.net/MPT.
The Baltimore National Heritage Area. Promoting heritage tourism is a smart economic development tool to boost Baltimore's vibrant and historic neighborhoods, helping communities preserve historic resources, become more visitor-ready, and build community pride. Alfred Street Baptist Church presents the 17th Annual Historically Black College and University Fair, sponsored by Facebook, February 23rd at the Washington Convention Center. More info at